Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montavilla Sewing Center, and I'm going to talk about the threading on the Baby Lock Victory Serger. The Baby Lock Imagine Serger is very similar to this, so if you have one of those sergers, basically follow the same instructions. So to start with, when you unthread your machine, you want to snip your threads up here at the top, and you're going to pull them out towards the needles here. And also make sure that your presser foot is up because that opens the discs and helps release the threads. Now I'm going to pull the threads out of the tension discs, and once you do that, you can just pull it right out. So now we've taken the threads out. So when you first take your serger out of your box, the thread tree is going to be all the way down like this. You want to make sure that the thread tree is all the way up. There we go, and straight like this, not crooked, but so that each of these point right to where you put your threads. We'll start out with, I like to thread the thread tree first, just to get that part done, all at one time. There we go, and I'm using 4 different colors of thread for teaching purposes. You can do that for serging, or you can use all gray thread or all white thread. White, black, and gray are kind of what my go-to are. Again, we want to make sure that the presser foot is up so the discs are open, so the thread can sit right down into that disc. Then we snap that back into there. I'm just kind of doing it in a random order here, but just make sure that you get the right ones. So yeah, you could probably start with this one first and go to right to left. That would be fine. Nice, simple, easy way to make sure you got everything where it goes. Okay, so the 2 left-hand-most threads are your needle threads. So I'm going to put those off to the side for now because we're going to start out by threading the loopers. Here we go. I'm snipping those to make sure they're nice and sharp. But before we do that, we need to connect these two tubes here to make sure that the thread can shoot all the way through to the ends of the loopers. To do that, on the Victory, you just push the knob like this and turn your hand wheel towards you until those click shut. If you have the Baby Lock Imagine, you actually need to push and hold this until the tubes snap shut. So there's a little bit of difference there. Basically, same idea. Now, it doesn't matter which one you choose, just make sure that if you're threading upper looper, that you've got the switch on the upper looper. So I'm doing that, putting this down in there about 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch, just kind of tap it down in there and leave it a little slack like this, just kind of slack, and push down and see that shot that right through. Okay, now we're going to thread the lower looper. Same idea. Put that behind that little hook there, and you pull out about that much. I'm going to show you what happens if you don't have it quite long enough, and it's okay. So you just have it kind of short there, poke that down in there, and push this shut. Okay, so now, kind of got to hold the other one. It didn't quite come out here because I didn't have it quite long enough, so pull down a little more thread like this. Push it again, and there we go, got the lower looper threaded. Now, I like to have them fairly short, because if I have them too long, I find that once I push this, then it kind of gets all caught on the door and everything, and I don't want that happening. So have them however much you need to, and just if it doesn't seem to be working, just make sure you have your little switch in the right place. Doesn't matter where you leave it. Now, the next thing we need to do is thread the needles. But in order to use a needle threader, we have to move this. But in order to do that, so you can't move it right now until you disconnect these little tubes here. So you're pushing this to the right. And that's all mentioned down here in the threading chart right here. Okay, so to thread the needles, first of all, I want to say this hook here is for specialty threading. And that's going to be mentioned on your quick reference threading guide. So for most serging that you're going to be doing, don't worry about this hook here. Just ignore it. But you do want to put your threads behind these little hooks here and up over here. This part here contains the take-up lever, just like you have a take-up lever in your sewing machine. Under here, up over, like that. Now, one thing I want to tell you, when you are threading your machine and you've got all the same color in there, when you get down to this point, you might forget to who's who. Is this the right-hand one? Is this the left-hand one? Just pull one of them. Oh, that's the left-hand one. Or that's the right-hand one, yeah, the one on that side. And now we know which needle to thread that in. Because I pulled that, I can tell which thread is moving up here. Okay, so to use the needle threader, we need to match up the green marks over here. So I'm going to match up those marks, and you see now I can push this forward. It doesn't matter at this point whether the presser foot is up or down because the needle threader will work either way. I'm going to thread the right hand needle first, so I move this little switch over to the right. So I start out taking the thread about that much between my fingers like this, use my ring finger, push this down. Now I put the thread in front of the needle and underneath that fork, so it's right in that corner. Kind of make it smile like that. Lift it back, and now we have our thread threaded. I'm going to use the tweezers to grab that little loop and pull it on through. That was easy, wasn't it? Now we get to do the left hand. So push this over to the left, put the thread in the needle bar guide. Make a loop with your right hand, hold the tail end with your left hand, push the lever down with your ring finger, put that thread right up into that little corner, ease it back, and now you've threaded the left hand side. Okay, get a hold of this thing here, pull that on through, there we go. Okay, so we've got the needles threaded, and now it is time to put the threads underneath the foot so we can get ready to sew. Well, you don't have a whole lot of room to poke them back there, so there's an easier way to do that. Put your finger right here on top of the upper blade. Put your threads between the upper blade and the foot. Guide the threads right to the back, and the three are under here. You don't need to worry about this lower looper thread because the lower looper thread will incorporate into the stitch once we start sewing. So that is threading the Baby Lock Victory. Make sure, just like on your regular sewing machine, that you have your presser foot down when you start sewing, close your doors, and you're ready to go. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, and you can leave comments and questions in the little box below. And stay tuned for our future videos. Thanks. Bye.